Hello everyone and welcome to Coffee and RPGs. My name is Solomon SK and thank you so much for clicking on this video. The reason why I wanted to do a reaction video to Project TD is because I kind of want to capitalize on the recent trend of all these amazing or potential amazing games that are coming from China. And what I mean by that trend is that they're actually getting pretty popular here in the Western shores. Now, Chinese gaming companies has always been around for years, but they've primarily seen only success in the eastern and southeastern shores of the world, but we've seen the likes of Genshin Impact, and that was developed by miHoYo, and that's a Chinese company. And we've also seen the huge success of the trailer that was Wukong late last year. And so there's another trailer here called Project TD, which is also similar to Wukong, but it's very sci-fi more so than fantasy. But anyways, everyone, if you're ready to hang out with me with your beverage of choice, I'm drinking coffee as always. Let's go ahead and watch this together. Cheers to you guys.
Consider hitting the subscribe button down below, as well as the bell notification right next to it. Thank you!
Looking good so far. If you guys didn't know, I'm a huge fan of mechs. Female protagonist. So they got a lot of that kung fu action going on, which is pretty nice. It kind of reminds me of Blade and Soul, actually. In a lot of ways. At least with that kind of combos, you see a lot of that with the Blade Master and the Kung Fu Master. Ooh, she rips off the head. So that obviously screams Metal Gear, but I will admit they did a pretty awesome job with that particular mech. Now I think this part, yeah, that part was just solely for cinematics. I think this is the actual gameplay, and it's very fast-paced. It might actually be a little too fast for my taste. That's pretty cool, the uppercut. So it seems like she has like this crazy super ability with her fist that charges up or something. A lot of dodging mechanics. Again, this is a lot of the stuff that you see in games like Black Desert Online too. Again, the whole thing with the fist again. I don't know if this part may be like a timed event. Starting over. So I don't know if her armor is like made out of like nanites or something like that, because you kind of see it dissolve. So the first thing right off the bat that I find super interesting that you don't see a whole lot of games do is her actually interacting with the enemies and ripping off the robot's head. I think that's really cool. I'm not exactly sure if that's just for show or part of the cinematic, but if they do include that in the actual fighting mechanics, I think that'd be really cool. It kind of reminds me of the fatalities that you see in Mortal Kombat. So I really hope that's something that's in the game, again, in the fighting mechanics and stuff like that. Going to the mech itself, I mean, that is pretty dang impressive. Again, it just reminds you of everything that is Metal Gear, but again, that's not necessarily a bad thing. The way it fights, the way it moves, and even the textures of the metal and stuff like that, this is clearly going to be a very beautiful game, in my opinion. And looking at the mech itself, I just love how detailed it is. You actually see all the missiles and the barrels, the gun rails and whatnot. And so yeah, it's just little things like that you just kind of look for to really see kind of how much effort that they put into the game, and in the subtle things and stuff like that, in my opinion at least. As for the protagonist herself, it's not the greatest looking armor, but then again, I could definitely appreciate how she's not how do you say, overly exaggerated. There's a particular word that I want to use, but I'm not sure if I could say it without triggering the YouTube algorithms and stuff like that. But yeah, I know a lot of Eastern games are guilty of hyper in terms of the character development, let's just say voluptuous, I guess you could say. I hope that's not a triggering word for the algorithms. But this one I could get behind at least. At least they're trying to give her some sort of realism and modesty, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But then again, if you're into those type of games too, again, like I mentioned, Blade and Soul, I think that game is clearly a game that's, well, let's just say that knows their audience. And so yeah, like either way, I do appreciate the way aesthetically that the armor is on her and whatnot without being too overly dramatic about it, to say the least. And going back to this frame, it seems like at least in this particular boss fight, there seems to be different stages as the mech or whatever it's called tends to get more damage and whatnot. And so there's definitely seems to be a lot of variety, a lot of dynamic fight mechanics that are going on, which I could definitely appreciate. And so obviously what we're going to see here is a lot of similarities to Wukong, in my opinion, but with a sci-fi setting. There's a lot of dashing, forward moving skills and combat animations and whatnot. But yeah, there's also a lot of God of War and Devil May Cry in here too. And again, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Primarily, one of the reasons why I love playing games like Black Desert Online is because of its action combat. I don't do a whole lot of PvP, admittedly, but I guess that's a different story. I'm guessing that the original name for this was called Project D, but in the YouTube title it's called Project DT, so I'm not exactly sure when the change was made or if there's a change at all, or if that's maybe just a mistake, maybe a translation mistake and whatnot. But anyways, whether it's called Project D or Project DT, I think it's going to be pretty awesome in my opinion. Now, there's another game that I should probably let you guys know called Project Eve, and this one's being made in South Korea. And if it looks very similar to Blade and Soul, well, that's no accident, because I believe the same character designer, whose name is Kim Tae-hyung, is the same guy that developed or created the character for this game as well. I'll probably do a reaction trailer to this one as well. Maybe it is an older trailer, so in terms of recent trends, it's kind of come and pass, but yeah, if you're into the sort of games like action games from Asia, this is another one to check out. I'll have a link to this down in the description below if you're curious to take a look. Again, thank you so much for clicking on this video. That concludes today's reaction of Project D or Project DT. If you feel as though I've earned your subscription, please consider hitting the subscribe button down below, as well as the bell notification icon right next to it, as that tremendously helps out the channel and I would greatly appreciate it. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think of this game, what you expect, and if you're expecting more of these type of trailers to come out from China. But anyways, everyone, I will finally let you guys go. Hope you guys have a blessed night, and I will see you guys next time. Cheers again, everyone.